Did I ever think in 2010 in university in freezing cold Colorado that I would be owning a dive center in the Philippines? No. But I can't think of a better life even possible. And that's just from stepping out of my comfort zone and just going nuts, just going with the flow.
Hey, what's up guys, Chad here. I am convinced that the more you take chances in life, the more you get out of your comfort zone and pursue your passion, the higher the likelihood is that you're gonna live a fulfilling life. And at a minimum, you're gonna have like awesome stories for your grandkids. And this story in this video is all about that. I recently met a guy named Justin who now lives in Darwin, just outside of Dumaguete. He's pursuing his passion, living his dream really. And the story that led him to the Philippines is unbelievable. From living in a smaller town in Colorado, going to university, and heading overseas on a class trip with other students and a professor. But when it was time to return home, he didn't go. He didn't join them. And it's been several years since then, and he hasn't returned. The story is crazy. Let's get to it.
It was gonna be my first international trip, and I thought we were gonna go to like Bali and Borneo and some cool stuff, and I didn't care where, but when I signed up, they're like, oh, by the way, we're going to Southern Africa. So it's gonna be like some crazy cultural immersion first trip. So culture shock, you know, it wasn't like I was going to Cancun or Bahamas. We landed in Johannesburg. So a little side rant, we went from, this was Christmas break, so it was middle of December of Colorado, Rockies. It was -20. I got on the plane, it took like 30 hours to get to Johannesburg, South Africa, and it was positive 100 Fahrenheit. So we went 120 degrees in one day. As I was walking to the taxi, getting out of the airport, I was just like giving away clothes. I had jeans in Africa for some reason, my hoodie, my university hoodie, and it was gone in like 10 minutes.
That's hilarious. So how long was this trip supposed to be?
So this was Christmas break in between semesters, so I think that's 5 weeks. And we did this on extreme budget. It wasn't like resorts or all-inclusive anything. It was like kind of our crash course into how the world works. You know how culture shock could be, but this was mind-blowing. I can't think of enough adjectives where I was just like, oh my God, there's a whole entire universe that I don't even know. I didn't know this is going on. This, like, everything in front of me was new and exciting, and all of a sudden I felt really sheltered in my little town in Colorado where nobody cares about the outside world. Anywhere in the States, really. I mean, we were seeing like tribal dances in the middle of Zimbabwe, and I'd go to a little island in Mozambique and there'd be a million flamingos, you know, pink flamingos, and they'd fly around, and yeah, it was just completely mind-blowing. And I've never been happier, more excited, all of those adjectives that I could think of in my life. But then on the last week or 5 days, knowing that I had to go back home to the classroom, I was like, it was the opposite. I was like, there's no way I can go home. So I called my roommate in my dorm and said, clean out you could keep whatever in my dorm, my room. Called my parents, said I'm not coming home, and sat down with my professor and was like, dude, I'm not going back. I'll take a semester off. I'll wander around Africa or wherever, and hopefully I'll get another scholarship, and instead of using my dorm money, I'll use it to fly home. So I had no money. I had $400 to my name, and no family or anything to.
So something hit you your last week on this trip. It hit you where you're like, I can't go home.
I was like, this is my lifetime opportunity. There's no way I'm just gonna get a little Facebook status or a little something on my resume. I want this to be like life-changing. I didn't want it to just be a one-time experience. And so I told them, and they're all, you're gonna die, you're crazy, there's no way we're gonna leave you in Africa. I was like, yeah, you are. The other students, they all went back to Maputo, got on the plane, and flew back to Colorado, and I had $400 to my name. But that day, or the day before they left, I asked the little hostel that we were staying at if I could volunteer for accommodation and one meal. My accommodation was my own tent on their beach in the sand, but I didn't care.
So to put this into perspective, how much of this surprised you? Was this typical for your personality, or did something hit you that changed you completely?
I don't know.
To do this.
I've never thought of it if I've always been like spontaneous. I love being spontaneous now, and I love change, and like something of the unknown is always super exciting for me.
But you had never done
But back
anything
then,
like this.
I mean, no, of course I've never done anything that crazy or what they say were crazy. But I never felt an ounce, maybe I was just dumb. I never felt an ounce of fear, anxiety, anything. It was just like the next morning, my classmates were gone, my professors gone, all the people I was traveling with. I don't know how many miles is Mozambique from Colorado or America. All I knew is this is a $2,000 flight that I don't have money for because I had $400 to my name. And when I realized that in the morning, like there's no help, there's also no schedule, no agenda. I don't have to answer an email. I don't have to be to class at 8. My boss isn't going to be calling. Absolutely. I mean, there's no more freedom than that, is there? That's how I felt, like completely free to do whatever the hell I want besides survive. That's the only thing I had to do, and I was not worried about that.
Did you have anything in your mind how long you wanted to do this for?
Yeah, at first I didn't think it was possible. I'll take one semester off. Let's see if I could survive by working at here, wherever, working at bars, doing whatever. One semester is like 4 months or whatever. But that was 13 years ago. I still haven't been back.
So what happened?
Well, I met the right people, man, and my parents would say the wrong people, but I met people doing when you do certain things, you meet people doing those things, and I met those kind of people. I still remember, of course, my professor was my mentor at the time. He encouraged this, but then I met this Israeli guy that, like, they have mandatory military service in the military in Israel. When they get out, they get a little bit of money. They just go crazy. They go wherever. And this dude hitchhiked and took train hopping, all the way from Israel to where I met him in Mozambique. He was working in bars and everything I was doing. And he got out this Lonely Planet because he was kind of done with his journey. He got out this Lonely Planet and gave it to me. And they have these big maps, Lonely Planet travel guide, I mean. They have these big maps, and he just crossed, don't go here, this is they'll hire you under the table here, you know. Every time I talk to these people, there's something I didn't know was possible. Even remotely, I didn't know it was a possibility. And I started hitchhiking. I hitchhiked through Mozambique. I would jump, sometimes I would ride buses, like, I guess you could call them buses in Africa, but they're like, kind of like our bus for the resort. You know, they're made for like 11 people, but they don't leave the station or the side of the road until there's 30 or 40 people. So, you know, I'd be like cramped, and there'd be a cage of chickens on my feet, kid on my lap, 2 people, like there'd be 6 people on my 3 people seat. They'd have the side doors open, and so they could stand there and hold on to the roof. There'd be people on the roof. Sometimes I would take those because it'd be like $1 for a 4-hour trip. Another thing that kind of changed the whole direction of my life was they said, okay, stay in Africa, but you should write about it. And you should start a blog. And I started a blog, and it went viral. Google picked it up, and back then they gave you Google rankings, like Page Authority or whatever it's called. And it just went crazy in the first like 4, 5, 6 months. I was just writing my stories, plus like how to do things, like things to do in Malawi, things to do in Egypt, South Africa, wherever I was. People were Googling, searching for that, and finding me. And then I virtually met this dude named Gary Arndt, another one of my mentors that kind of steered my path. And he's the OG travel blogger. So he had everything, he still has everythingeverywhere.com. And he took me under his wing. I'm like, hold on, you could get paid to travel. I can make this sustainable. That's why it turned into 2 semesters, 3 semesters, 3 years, 5 years. But I started writing, and it exploded. So I started getting the advertisers and this and that, and I started making real money. And then if I don't have to hitchhike and stop for like a month and work in freaking Cambodia, or, I mean, I spent way too much time in some of these places, like a year in Estonia or wherever. Now I was making money, I don't have to stop. Then I just went crazy. I was going everywhere in the world. I've been to 89 countries so far. And it just started growing and growing. And then it got so popular that tourism boards, tour companies, resorts, airlines were sponsoring me, flying me. Hey, come write about Indonesia. Come write about Dubai and Mexico and Kenya. You know, it never stopped. And then like T-Bex and all these events were flying me to. They'd have different speaking conferences for travel writers, and they'd fly me there to speak about how to get into the business and how to step out of your comfort zone. And you know, it's all a mental game really. But eventually I was speaking next to the OG Gary, who got me started, and they were fly us to Ireland and then Philippines and then Istanbul just to do these speaking conferences. So it kind of came full circle.
What led you to the Philippines and your life here, living your passion with scuba diving?
Yeah, so at the end of that very first trip with my classmates and my teacher, he always tries to get people to try scuba diving for the first time. So our entire class, we had budgeted for this and everything in the pre-planning. We got certified there in Mozambique in Tofu. I mean, we were with whale sharks and manta rays, and I was like, that's it.
You found your passion.
So then all these years when I'm writing, it was always, my niche was dive destinations. So I was writing about, you know, they would fly me to Indonesia every year to try out and write about different upcoming, they wanted to promote these destinations like Alor and Raja Ampat and Komodo and Malmir and Ambon and all these places nobody's heard of. But I was doing that all over the world. That's what kind of led me to Philippines the first time. Because Philippines the biodiversity is insane. As odd as it sounds, I kind of got jaded or burnt out on travel. I was just tired, like physically and everything, because these weren't just free trips. I was working. I would go to Allure for a week, write about it. On the airplane to Maldives, I'd go all around Maldives and write about each location on the airplane to Malta. It was just like that every day. So after I was successful, I was like, why, if I don't love it, how can I make it better? And then I was like, I want to do video. Writing is not my passion. It paid for my passion, but if I can do video and start filming and getting better at filming underwater, then that would be my passion. Yeah, so I'd been to Philippines a bunch of times, and I met my now wife in Cebu on one of those times. She was in nursing school. And then on this last trip with Marriott, we just did around the world twice. I was speaking at a conference in Manila, and I was like, I need a break. So I canceled all my next few months of trips, and I went down to Cebu and hung out with her for a while. And I was like, I just need a break. And right about then, I got an offer to buy my entire business. So I sold that business. I was like, this is perfect timing because I'm burnt out and I want to get into video and start filming these exact same things, but filming instead of writing.
But now you're in Darwin.
Yeah. So
when
just
did
like
this all start?
my
Yeah.
spontaneous, I like change. I was like, well, I've been all over Philippines except for Darwin. Let's go to Darwin. And I got a house over the internet, over Airbnb or something, and just showed up here, moved in, and no plan, and now I was married for the first time. It was weird because I've been living in hotels since 2010 and my backpack. Now I was buying freaking blankets and pillows and socks and laundry stuff and going to laundry places, and it was...
Did you like it?
No, not at first, but I think wives have that, like, they don't give you a choice. She's like, this shirt is how old? I was like 6 years, and she just threw it away. I had like 3 shirts for all these years because I didn't want to do laundry, you know? I would do laundry at the hotel laundry place, or they would. So, and then we got a cat. And then actually the pandemic happened and we were really stuck here.
Now you're really settled in.
Yeah.
All right, so talk about your setup now. You have since continued with your passion. You've started a business.
I was making all these other resorts a ton of money because they want to come dive with me, and I would just send them here, there, wherever. All my friends own resorts. And somebody's like, dude, you need to start your own place. I was like, yeah, let's try it, because I've dove all over the world. This is my favorite place to dive. But there's so many, like, people you interview, or all these guys talk to expats. Why did you come here? Why did you come here? They're missing the actual unique thing that makes Philippines unique on the map. Okay, there's the Coral Triangle. That is the center of marine biodiversity on the entire planet. So there's Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, Malaysia, and Philippines, East Timor, Solomon Islands. But Philippines is right in the center if you look geographically. And then Darwin is like a little bit more unexplored than Boracay or some of the other places. So we're literally in the one thing. There's friendly people, sure. There's friendly people in a million countries. There's beautiful women. But you could get that in so many other countries. But the one thing you're not going to find in Colombia, in America, in any country in Europe, in anywhere is the biodiversity. You're not going to walk out in Florida and see a blue ring octopus next to a wonderpuss, next to a mimic, with a whale shark just swimming by. Like, I can look out my window and see a whale shark. And I have 3,000 dives. I still see something new every day in front of my own shop. I'm like, how have I never seen that? That's literally impossible in Hawaii or Florida or Italy or Spain or anywhere.
You don't even need a boat. You can literally swim off the shore and the reef is right there.
Hey, I'm gonna take you. You'll see. But literally, that's another reason I picked Darwin instead of maybe Mobile or Anilao, some of these other great places in the Philippines, just for the ease of access. I wanted like the awesome diving in number one, but I don't need a boat. I can drive to every dive site here besides Apple Island. I'm not in the big city, but I can get there in 15, 20 minutes to go shopping or whatever. I don't like traffic and all that. I'm just here in like quiet little Darwin. There's a lot of reasons. And I have my like expat friends, my retirees in Dumaguete, and in Darwin I have the younger guys like me that are like the dive community. Like we can go, I go down there, we're talking about certain stuff. I go here, we're talking about, did you see that manta ray, whatever it is. You got to go to this site, or we have a Facebook group. You got to go here. We saw a harlequin shrimp, which is super rare. It's at this dive site, different. This is the nerdiest talk I've ever had, I think. I can't believe we're talking about this.
No, I love this, man. This is passion.
Yeah, if you ever wanted to get into diving, this is the place.
I like that you mentioned the age thing, because there is a big expat retirement community here, but there's also this little known, how old are you?
37.
So yep. there's that 30s and 40s sort of age group.
My wife is 35. Yeah.
So for people that are back home that are in this age range, we'll wrap up with this. Speak to them about taking chances, about pursuing passions. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I get a lot of guys that don't understand what I do because I'm the only one they know that's not on a Social Security or pension or some safeguard back home, and I'm like, dude, I'd rather be here making less money than back home being safe, safe and secure and whatever. I have 30 years until that retirement thing. I think I'm gonna go waste 30 years just so I make a little bit more money when I'm older. What I'd rather do, and if you think about it, these guys, if they could go back and they knew this was even possible, if somebody would have told them that it's okay, this is actually, you could be doing this, and they had that option, I guarantee they'd come do it. And I know for a fact because I do these conferences or whatever, and maybe if I speak to 100 people, one or two will actually, it'll change their life. They'll actually listen and go for it. Maybe another one will go for it and fail, but they still had like a amazing 2 years or something. They don't regret it. So did I have any idea that stepping out and quitting university, I had to quit, or maybe they kicked me out, I don't even know, I just never went back. Did I have any idea that I would be running my own dive center in the tropics, very, very far from home, growing up in Asia? No, I never went diving in Colorado. I had no idea I thought I was going to be working in the oil field and like everybody else. So
it's amazing, man. All right, give a shout out to your company and your channel.
The channel is called Critter Hunter, and if you just go there if you're interested in that stuff. It's not for everybody. There's a lot of marine biology and other stuff. It's not really an expat topic or any of that, but
if they want to try scuba diving, they can look you up.
Hey, we just got I think our oldest student on record is 78. So. And now we have the can I mention this real quick?
Yeah, of course.
We also we're only the one of two dive teaching facilities in the whole country that can do disabled divers, wounded warriors, whatever. We just had our first student. It cost me a ton of money to get my instructor trainer qualified for this, but we just had our first student with one arm get totally certified, so we could do no leg. We have a blind guy coming in, so we do a lot of stuff like that with the military too. We're also, I don't know how many can do it here in the Philippines, not many, but we also take the GI Bill, the post 9/11 GI Bill, Montgomery, and the Chapter 35. So the VA will actually pay for dive certification. So yeah, we're doing some big stuff.
It's phenomenal, man. I love it. I want to follow up on that topic right there.
I feel like we just skipped over 13 years of insane stories while I hitchhiked around the world, but
we're gonna circle back to that.
maybe they'll let you know if you want some specific crazy stories.
I think people will like this overall story, and we'll dive back into some detailed stories in future videos.
I might have went to jail in some dodgy countries here and there, and yeah, I got some stories if you want.
All right, we're going back to it. Thanks for your time, man. Appreciate it.
Good to be
Awesome.
here.
Woo!